Dr. Marcus Webb had spent 15 years with the Boston Historical Society, but he had never seen anything like this. The photograph arrived as part of an estate donation from the old Beacon Hill neighborhood. It was a standard family portrait from 1903 showing a prosperous family in their parlor. 7 people were carefully arranged, a stern father seated in the center, his wife standing beside him with her hand on his shoulder, and 5 children of different ages around them. Everyone wore their best clothes, faces frozen in the serious expressions common to early photography. Heavy curtains framed tall windows, and ornate furniture filled the Victorian room. Marcus was cataloging the photos when he decided to run this one through the Society's new digital enhancement software. The tool could recover details lost to age and the limits of old cameras. He uploaded the high-resolution scan and started the process. While it worked, he reviewed the documents. The photo was labeled, "The Morrison Family, November 1903, Beacon Hill Residence." When the enhanced image appeared, Marcus nearly dropped his coffee. In the far corner, where deep shadows had hidden everything, the software revealed a pale, lifeless hand extending from behind a heavy velvet curtain. He leaned closer. As he adjusted the contrast, more details emerged. An arm, a shoulder, and the clear outline of a human figure slumped in the corner, partly hidden by furniture. Someone else had been in that room, someone the family had either not noticed or deliberately concealed. Judging by the unnatural position in the skin, that person was dead. Marcus secured the image and began researching the Morrison family. City directories listed Robert Morrison, age 47, a textile mill owner, his wife Charlotte, age 42, and their children, Robert Jr., 20, Margaret, 17, Thomas, 14, Eleanor, 11, and William, 8. The family was prominent. Robert owned 3 mills and sat on company boards. Their Beacon Hill brownstone was one of the grandest in the neighborhood. Newspaper searches turned up a short article from November 17, 1903, just 2 days after the photo date. A household staff member was missing. Miss Anna Kowalski, age 23, a housemaid for the Morrisons, had failed to report for work and was thought to have left without notice. The family declined to comment. No police investigation followed. Marcus found Anna in the 1900 census, a Polish immigrant, age 20, working as a domestic servant. By 1903, she had been with the Morrisons for at least 3 years. After November 1903, she vanished from every record. No marriage, no death certificate, nothing. He studied the enhanced photo again. The figure wore a simple dark dress, typical of a housemaid. The position suggested she had collapsed or been placed there behind the curtain. This looked like evidence of a murder that had gone unnoticed for 120 years. Marcus contacted police records and was directed to the Massachusetts State Archives. After 2 days searching old ledgers, he found a missing person report filed November 18, 1903, by Anna's mother, Helena Kowalski, from the North End Polish community. The report was brief and dismissive. Mrs. Kowalski said her daughter had not returned home. Mr. Robert Morrison claimed Anna left of her own free will with her belongings. No evidence of foul play. Case closed. The officer was Sergeant Patrick O'Brien. Marcus also found an earlier report. In June 1902, another housemaid, Mary Sullivan, age 19, had died in the Morrison home. It was ruled an accident. She fell down the service stairs and suffered fatal head trauma. The family doctor confirmed it. No investigation followed. 2 young immigrant women, both dead or missing within 2 years while working for the same family. Marcus posted inquiries on genealogy and local history sites. 3 days later, he heard from Patricia Brennan, 78, whose grandmother, Bridget O'Connor, had cooked for a neighboring Beacon Hill family from 1900 to 1910. Patricia brought her grandmother's journals. In an entry dated November 15, 1903, the exact day of the photograph, Bridget wrote that Mrs. Morrison had come to their kitchen door in great distress, nearly hysterical, saying something terrible had happened involving young Mr. Robert and one of their maids. Mrs. Cabot took her into the parlor. When Mrs. Morrison left, she looked composed but very pale. Mrs. Cabot ordered the staff never to speak of the visit. 2 days later, Bridget noted that the Polish girl from the Morrison house was missing. Her mother had come weeping, saying something was not right. The Morrisons claimed the girl left without notice. The mother did not believe it. Mrs. Cabot said the police would not interfere with a respectable family. Marcus returned to the newspapers and found that in December 1903, Robert Morrison Jr. suddenly left Boston for an extended tour of Europe. He stayed abroad nearly 3 years and, when he returned in 1906, settled in New York instead of Boston. He never lived in the family home again. Marcus examined the photo once more. Why would a family pose for an expensive formal portrait on the very day something terrible happened? Unless the portrait itself was meant to project normal life and innocence. He researched the photographer and identified Harold Fitzpatrick of Charles Street. Studio records showed the Morrison appointment for November 15th at 2 o'clock. Payment was received November 20th with an unusual request. All plates and negatives were to be destroyed after the prints were delivered. An extra fee was charged. Fitzpatrick's personal diary for that day confirmed the strange atmosphere. Mrs. Morrison appeared to have been weeping. The eldest son looked ill. They insisted on proceeding. The corner of the parlor was unusually dark because heavy curtains had been drawn. When Fitzpatrick suggested moving them, Mr. Morrison became agitated and ordered him to work with the existing light. The family positioned themselves to block clear views of that corner. Marcus searched city records and discovered that in March 1904, the Morrisons began major basement and foundation renovations. Such work would have required excavation, an ideal chance to bury a body. He contacted the current owners of the former Morrison property, now luxury condominiums. A retired foreman from the 1990s renovation, Donald Price, remembered the job. While digging for new foundation work, they found old brickwork that did not match the original construction. Behind it, they discovered what looked like human bones. Police were called, but the detective said the remains were too old to investigate and ordered them reburied during the new work. Marcus took everything to Detective Sarah Chen of the Cold Case Unit. She listened carefully and petitioned for an exhumation order. 3 months later, a forensic team carefully opened the basement floor. They found a complete human skeleton, intentionally buried and wrapped in early 1900's household linen. Forensic anthropologist Dr. Lisa Morrison examined the remains, female, 20 to 25 years old, about 5 feet 4 inches tall. The skull showed severe blunt force trauma consistent with repeated blows or a fall from height. The injuries would have been fatal. Fragments of a housemaid's uniform, buttons, and a small metal pendant engraved with the letter A were found with the bones. DNA from a distant cousin of Anna's confirmed the remains belonged to Anna Kowalski. The medical examiner ruled the death a homicide by blunt force trauma, deliberately concealed. With the evidence assembled, Marcus, Detective Chen, and a criminal psychologist reconstructed the likely events of November 15, 1903. Anna, facing unwanted advances from Robert Jr., had decided to leave. She confronted the family that morning, threatening to speak publicly. The argument escalated. Robert Jr. struck her or pushed her down the service stairs. She suffered fatal head injuries. The family chose to protect their son. They hid the body behind the parlor curtain while the scheduled photograph was taken to create an appearance of normal life. Afterward, they moved the body to the basement. 4 months later, during renovations, they buried her under the floor. Robert Jr. was sent abroad until the danger passed. The police accepted the wealthy family's explanation without real investigation. 6 months after the exhumation, the Boston Historical Society mounted an exhibition presenting the enhanced photograph, the forensic findings, and the full historical record. The centerpiece honored Anna herself. Research showed she had immigrated from Poland in 1897, at age 17 after her father's death. She worked hard, sent money home, and dreamed of opening a dressmaking shop. Photographs of a young woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile were displayed beside the evidence of her fate. The Massachusetts Attorney General formally acknowledged that Anna Kowalski had been murdered and denied justice because of the inequalities of her time. Her remains received a proper burial in a Catholic cemetery in Boston's Polish neighborhood. The gravestone, paid for by public donations, read, Anna Kowalski, 1880 to 1903. Beloved daughter and sister, murdered in service, forgotten by justice, remembered by truth. The Boston Police Department apologized for the original investigation's failures. Morrison family descendants issued a statement acknowledging their ancestors' crime and established a scholarship fund in Anna's name for young immigrant women. Standing at the exhibition opening, Marcus watched visitors gasp at the enhanced photograph and stand quietly before Anna's portrait. A single photograph meant to conceal a crime had instead preserved the proof needed to reveal it. Even in the deepest shadows, the truth waits to be brought into the light.